Hey, converted man here. Well. Broken morals. Is stoning to death moral? Yes or no? Now, I want to take S.J. Thomason as an example of other theists out there because I've seen this written by others and I've heard it said by others, so she's not unique in this answer. So I'll use this as a good example of the problem of DCT, Divine Command Theory. Now, she had this debate whenever, and she uploaded it on her channel as a premiere, so it wasn't live at the time. And I came at the very end of it and asked SJ about the question that she got asked during the Q&A of the debate. The question was, whether or not stoning, would you stone to death your unruly children? Is that moral? She didn't answer the question, either whether it's moral or immoral. No, because, you don't want to answer that. Well, she said something about that, this was the time that they did this and the place was different or whatever, yes, I'm lobstering. Hi. And so I found that to be a non-answer. I don't like when people don't just answer the question. And, it really is a yes or no. She wanted to say, well, it's not, some things aren't that easy. Yes, that's true, but this is pretty simple. Would you have stoned them to death? Or if they were unruly, and is that moral? So, because we can't see the, even I can't really make the chat bigger in this window frame. It doesn't really work very well. So it's there. Link the original video. You can see that I'm not changing what was said or whatever. But instead I'll share Notepad because that I can make bigger or smaller. So I'll go over what was said in the chat, skipping parts that aren't really relevant to what I'm talking about. Hold on a moment. Okay, so here I'm saying that she didn't answer the question because the bits of the question that I saw that I felt that she didn't answer was whether it was moral or not, and whether she would do it or not. She says her points that if she lived under this law, Mosaic law, then she would have been bound by the Mosaic code. So I would have done as God commanded under his theological governance. So that's a yes. That's a yes to the question. It's yes, I would have done it. It's not, well, I would have, so I guess I could have also, I'd love to ask, well, if we were under Sharia law, would we then be bound by Sharia code and then done as Allah commands under Allah's theological governance, which is how many live today or want to live today? But the answer is, would you do it? Yes, she would do it if she'd been in that time. Great. All right. So I said, great. Because then, see, that's sarcastic. I can't, it's hard to convey sarcasm, through chat. Is it moral? And this is a response to a different thing about ethical systems. Don't worry about that, whatever. This is, again, I think this is a response to the other thing, because I was bringing up also God's ethics and whether we know them or not or whatever. That's kind of a tangent thing. So she says, because she hasn't answered my question, she's going to ask me another question because, that's how things work, I guess. I have to answer two questions. She only barely answers one. Is the electric chair moral? No. That's what I said. I just said no. See, I can give a yes or no. And I said, yes, your turn, yes or no. In other words, is it in the ancient Near East, stoning was their electric chair. They didn't have prisons as we do. People who committed crimes were often put to death depending on the severity of their crimes. So please note, this is not a yes or no to the question of, is this moral? Is it moral? Yes or no? Not, well, this is how they did it back then. Not, well, this is their version of the electric chair. Not, just yes or no. Is it moral? Is it moral to stone to death unruly children? Children that are not being obedient to their parents? Yes or no? And she didn't answer, and that was pretty much the end of the stream. So there you go. But it's not the only time I've seen this. It's not the only time I've heard this. But let's go to the relevant thing in the Bible, because I want to, be thorough. Hate reading through this. Okay. So Deuteronomy. If someone has a stubborn and rebellious son who does not obey his father and mother and will not listen to them when they discipline him, his father and mother shall take hold of him, bring him to the elders of the gate of his town. They shall say to the elders, this son of ours is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey us. He is a glutton and a drunkard. Then all the men of the town are to stone him to death. You must purge the evil from among you. All Israel will hear of it and be afraid. Is that moral? Is that moral? Yes or no? And because, I just want to make sure I'm extra thorough. Here's the Taliban. And in this video that I'm not going to play it, under Sharia law, they believe Allah, God, commands them to stone people to death. And here they are, stoning somebody to death because God told them to do it. Is that moral? Yes or no? No dodging. No him-hawing. No, well, in that time and place, things were... No. Is it moral? Yes or no? Yes or no? My answer is no. It's not moral. Except, I guess you should put a little asterisk there, it becomes moral under DCT, Divine Command Theory ethics. Under that ethics, anything and everything that your God tells you to do, you do it. That's it. That's the end of the story there. You don't get a say in the matter. You don't get a choice. You do it because it's God. It is an authority-driven ethical system. Well, how do you know that God said to do this? Well, because it's written in your little magical book there. That's how. Well, how do you know that that book's been preserved for... stop asking questions. Or you too will be stoned to death. But I love the mental gymnastics that goes into this. So, well, back then they didn't have jails. So Yahweh couldn't have taken the people and said, okay, look, here's what we're going to do. You're going to carve out, some houses here, or you're going to take some houses you've built. Here's how to build a house. Here's how to build a jail. And here's what a jail is and how that works. And here's how a justice system works. And here's how you're going to make that. And, Here's some more instructions. No. That's really hard for God to do, apparently. So just, take him to the edge of town where the elders hang out at the edge of town, I guess. I don't know how that works. And, say, look, and I guess I don't know what you're supposed to do with your daughters because it only talks about the sons in that particular verse, but whatever. And then accuse him of being a drunkard. Like, how do you know he was being a drunkard? Like, maybe he was just being unruly, or just being unruly mean being a drunk. Like, what? I mean, what is it that he? Well, whatever. And then all the men kill him. Oh, okay. All right, great. Stoned to death this kid because they didn't listen to their parents. Now, the Jews, because I've looked at the Jewish explanations and ideas and thoughts of these laws, and I'd say, broadly speaking, they say, well, the thing is, they didn't really apply these laws. They added more laws to kind of like say, well, did we try this? Did we try that? Did we try the other thing? And like, if all of these things fail, then they would do it. Well, they'd still do it, mind you, but there was extra steps. Oh, okay, that makes it just fine. That's great. No, but I do have a video of a woman killing, or not a video, but articles of people killing their kids because they thought that would send them to heaven, and they thought that God told them to do that. Do you want those articles? I'm happy to pull those up. And we don't need a modern example of this. That's not the point. The point is this moral? Yes or no? It's not, well, do you have an example of people doing this? No. Do you think it's moral? Yes or no? That's it. If you're not willing to answer the question, why? So, Jesse, appreciate you, like you, seen you around here and there. Yes or no? Is stoning to death anybody, but in this case kids, moral? Yes or no? No. Okay. There you go. That's at least you answered. SJ couldn't do that. So you're a better person in my view than she is. But my view is irrelevant. What matters is the way that we get to that answer. How do we get to the answer of no or yes? And in that we need ethics. I did a video on DCT a while back. Also did a video on abortion and ethics way back when. And I don't know all the ethical systems that well, but there are plenty to choose from besides DCT. And let me get the list up here. Okay, we've got yeah, like I'm gonna be able to pronounce anything of that. Deontology, egoism, ethics of care, moral relativism, natural law, Rawls' theory of justice, social contract theory, utilitarianism, virtue ethics. And then you have divine command theory. Now mine, I picked of these, I like utilitarianism, although some object to it. And I've tinkered with it, so my version of it is different than how it's written anyways. So, and many people, when I ask them about what their ethical system is, sometimes they don't really say it's any of these. They kind of have their own anyways. So I don't know what that means, but, I find that interesting. It's helpful, perhaps, to have some sort of guide to point you to do what is a good thing to do. And so these systems attempt to give logical rationale for what is good, and sometimes why it's good. Not always. In utilitarianism, it is the most good for the most people and the least harm for the least people. Or really you could say the most good for the most amount and the least harm to the least amount. You could leave whether there are people or not out of it, and you could even leave whether or not something's alive out of it. Although, of course, you're going to place value on different things in different ways. So a rock is certainly going to have less value than a living organism. Is it moral to throw this rock off of this cliff? Well, it's not immoral. It's not moral. It's neither. It's benign. Okay, great. Now we're assuming that it's a sheer drop off and there's nobody down there, and it's just going to land on more rocks at the bottom. Great. Is it moral to throw this bug off the cliff? Well, happens to be that bugs don't care how far they fly or fall. They can hit terminal velocity and they won't go splat. They're too small. So I guess it's benign. I'm not sure why you're doing it, but it might be immoral depending on your intentions or desires. But broadly speaking, it's not going to hurt the bug. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt anyone else. So sure, throw the bug off the cliff. What about this rat? Well, no, because the rat's going to die. Well, that's causing a harm that you don't need to cause. This is a thought experiment, and you can continue to run the thought experiment with different things in different situations. Oh yeah, no, I absolutely agree. It's not a perfect system. None of the ethical systems are. I would dare say. I kind of tinkered with it to try to have it have quality in there as well as quantity. So like I said, it's my version of it. It's not the version of it or the written version of it. And like I said, there's objections to this ethical system, and I'm willing to acknowledge those objections, look at them, and say, maybe this other ethical system is good or better than mine. And maybe I don't know what the best one is, but I can tell you what the bleep the worst one is. DCT. Because you're not told what's wrong or right per se. You're ordered, you are commanded to do the thing. God, here pictured as a yellow cloud, I guess because he's pissed off, or I guess pissed in, I don't know, he's yellow, whatever. God tells you to do it, so you do it. That's it. There isn't a, well, should I do it? God told, Abraham, kill your son. So he goes and tries to kill his son. Doesn't matter that God stopped him later. That's irrelevant. The thing is, you're told to do it, so you do it. Oh, good. Here we go. So there was a gal that woke up, lifts a rock over the head of her kid, and then she does it to her other kid, and she tries to do it to another kid, and she claims that God ordered her to bash her son's heads. There you go. God told her to do it. So it must be good if God said to do it. And that's the problem with DCT. If God tells you to do it, you do it. So the answer SJ didn't give, that she couldn't give, is that it's immoral to stone anyone to death. It's immoral to kill people. God. It's immoral to do this when there's a better way. Now, there's different apologetics you can apply for why the 613 laws in the Old Testament are so brutal. There's an easy way out. God didn't order any of it. All of it was a human idea that some humans had of how to punish people, and then they claimed that God told them to do this, or that they claimed that God told them these orders. That's the easiest way out of it. It wasn't God that said to do it, it was the humans. Of course, why God allowed them to do it, well, that's a separate problem. But at least then, it's no longer your God's problem, it's the human's problem. But then that causes other problems, I suppose, but at least it gets rid of one problem. It is immoral to kill when there is another solution available. A dead person cannot learn from their mistakes. When SJ said, is the electric chair immoral? I said, yes, it is immoral. Death penalty is immoral under my system of ethics. Now, maybe a different system of ethics, you could find a way to say yes. Therein lies a whole discussion of what's called meta ethics. But under DCT, well, does God say to kill them or not? That's it. So, there you have it. I see not answering of questions when they can be boiled down to yes, no. Sometimes, yes, they're complex questions, granted. Sometimes they're loaded questions. I don't think this one was either of those, and was a simple answer. No, it's not okay. It's not moral to stone anyone to death. Nor is, just no. No. There is a better way. Well, the problem is anyone can claim that God said to do anything. And which God are you thinking said to do it? And God isn't going to clarify the matter for any of us, apparently. The Jews think one thing, the Christians think another, the Israelites another, the Hindus a different thing, and so on. And the lobsterists, they have their own wacky religion, And the reason maybe that we fight over morals with each other, whether it's intellectually or sadly with war, is we're trying to figure out the best way to do things. And I think that we've seen that when you assert, I'm right, you're wrong, my God says, wear a hat on Sunday, and that anyone that doesn't wear a hat dies. Well, that's interesting. My God says, whoever wears a hat on Sunday has to die. And not to wear a hat on Sunday. Well, I guess we have to kill each other now. I didn't see the question. Let me go back. What if I give you 10? No, I wouldn't do it. No. Because the value of the life is still greater than the value of the currency. Now, that's not to say that somebody somewhere eventually won't find the amount. What if it's $1 million? Then will you throw the rat out? That rat's dead. for $1 million. But, you know, of course, it depends on the situation. But it makes it, yeah, it's $1 million. I'm going to put the price of life at $1 million, at least. Now, if it was my ex-mother-in-law, oh man, I'll give you $10 and then I'll throw. Okay, yeah, messing around. Yeah, doing it for $1 million is immoral. Yeah, maybe I don't know. I have to rethink my ethics, maybe. But joking aside, of course, yeah, it is. See, we can question utilitarianism. We can question that. You're not allowed to question divine commands. Just God said, do this. So that's what we're going to do. God said, stone the people to death 613 times. Okay, a couple of those, it wasn't stoning to death, to be fair. But most of them are. So I'm just going to say, like, I don't have a number. Oh, bleep. I have to do a data chart on this, don't I? Yeah, I do. Okay, that will be the next video. I don't know what the best ethical system is, but I do know what the worst one is, and that's DCT. I know that it's not good enough to just say that this is the authority says to do it, so we do it. It doesn't matter who the authority is. It's so many problems. In the end, though, DCT is just another human thing. The difference is you're not allowed to question this particular human thing. You say, well, this God told me to do this, therefore it's right, so I'll do that. This God said to do that, so I'll do that. You're not allowed to question it. You're not allowed to say, well, I don't know. And so apologists, typically, who need to, promote their religion, if you will, have to bend over backwards to justify it. Well, yeah, because a church is different than a synagogue. So now I'd love if somebody, how like Taco Bell and KFC join together, and you can go and there's a KFC Taco Bell. What if you went to a church synagogue? Would you have to chop your hat off in half so that you could take half of it off and have the other half on? I don't know. And then you could order some really bad chicken taco. I don't know. Any rate, so those are my thoughts on this, I guess. I don't have much else to say other than I am still interested to know what God's ethical system is. It seems like a problem that somebody's trying to work on, maybe, but I'm not sure. Well, I suppose we'll see if that ever pans out. But do we have any empirical evidence that God ordered anything in the first place? No. What we do have is writings that people claim that God did, but that's not evidence that it did. It's just evidence that somebody thought that that's what happened or asserts that. Do we have any repeatable tests? No, it appears we can't test God. We can't test. Now, can we test these ideas out? Oh, I think we could. Do we want a society where these 613 laws are in place? I've heard people say yes. I don't. But that's just me. So no, we don't seem to have a test. Is there a valid and sound argument? Well, I haven't heard it yet. I haven't read it yet. So until I do, I'm going to have to say no, probably not. And until we have one of those things, I suggest that we stay skeptical of the conclusions. All right, let's go kill some rats. Oh, no, that wasn't supposed to be on the air. Ah, god damn it. Oh man, it ruined everything, even Star